Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, the Jamodi podcast is powered by Shoot 360. The future of basketball has arrived in Dallas-Fort Worth. Shoot 360 combines the latest sports technology with the fundamentals of basketball skill development. The result is a one-of-a-kind video game-like basketball program designed to improve your shooting, dribbling, and passing. Visit shoot360dfw.com to learn more and register for your free 1-hour workout evaluation. Shoot 360, the future of basketball is here. I would imagine, that philosophy that you guys had, to that choice that you made to leave work at the gym and just enjoy the time. That's probably what we need to do with our families when we get home. So that transitions really nice into another question of how do you balance family and basketball, the passion that you have for it?
Well, it's helpful now because my oldest son is playing for us. That helps. I get to spend more time with him. I see him way more than my wife does, which upsets her. But I think again, and not to keep pounding on this, but I think Coach Golding, helped me grow from that. But I think seeing how he coached his kids in Little League and he did all that, and my kids, I didn't do that, and I missed out on that. And so seeing that. I think that's one of the reasons he was able to handle, because some of the struggles we had early was because he had such a good life at home, and I had a good one too. But I can remember times when I was working elsewhere where I was gone all the time, and I wasn't seeing my kids grow up, and coming to Abilene Christian, just not just Joe Golding, but just Abilene Christian in general really helped me kind of center myself a little bit and realize truly what's important. I mean, this is a place where kids are welcome. I mean, we got kids running around the office all day. We got, my assistants can bring their kids up here and hang out. I want my guys to go home for dinner, even if there's going to be days where we have to come back up here and work at night. But I want everybody to go home and have dinner with their families if they can. Kiss their kids goodnight. And if we got to come back up here, we got to come back up here. But I think that's the biggest thing. I think really when I came to Abilene Christian 10 years ago was when I was able to kind of reconnect. And that's sad to say, but reconnect with my family on a personal level and start to see how much, they actually helped me become a better coach, because I'm not pouring everything I have into this. And they're involved in it. I think that's one of the reasons why my son wanted to play here. And for me is because we have that connection now that we didn't used to have, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And so I think just Abilene Christian has really helped me with that. But being around people like Joe, and then I have an unbelievable staff with beautiful families, all at different stages, and now getting to connect with their families and letting their kids run around up here. And we had one kid last year, Coach Trilly, one of my assistant coaches. His son tried to sit on the bench during the game, and we had the security trying to pull him back as we were in that tennis facility. We weren't in the Coliseum. Yeah. I said, man, if he wants to sit down here, let him sit. Of course, Coach Trilly said, no. Let him go back with his mom. But honestly, that stuff, man, is super important. I think if you don't let your family be a part of what you're doing, man, then one of them's going to break. And usually it's the family. And unfortunately for all of us that are competitors and all that, and that's the last thing I ever wanted to happen, because my family is so important to me.
Some great reminders there, man. And I think it's special that 10 years ago you were able to see the path that you were on with your family, and you were able to make that change. And you obviously, like you said, you had other people around that helped you see it too. But I wonder how many coaches out there don't make that realization until it's too late, because we only have that certain amount of time with especially our kids when we're at home, and then also just remembering to cherish our wives that we have and not ever allow them to feel second to the game. And that's something that my wife and I have talked about a lot, is I never want her to feel like it's basketball and then her or the kids. So it sounds like you were able to see that early on and right on time.
I was. And one of the good things that I've tried to carry on that Coach Golding did, and I'd never had this when I was anywhere else, was, he always let me pick a couple of trips where I could bring my wife and my kids with us. And so I've tried to continue that. And we just met on this the other day. I told the assistants, hey, man, go back to your families and figure out which one. They want. Of course, they can't travel at all. They all have different things going on too. But I think it's important for them to experience what we experience when we're
Yeah.
gone. For a week or 2 weeks, and they can travel with us and see that. And I think that's something that he did that really connected with me, and that I've tried to continue since I've gotten the job.
I've had a lot of coaches say that have coached their own sons that it was a really special experience for them, that they loved it. But then I would imagine, well, I'm going through it right now. Stepson is a sophomore at Faith, and he's playing, and I don't know what team or anything yet, but yeah, I don't want to put that out there just in case he hears this. But no, and it's going well. But what advice do you have for coaches that do have their kids in their programs and are going to be spending time with them like on the floor?
So I called some good friends of mine when my son decided to come here. And in all honesty, he's not a Division I caliber athlete. He knew that. We had a long talk about that. He could have played small college like I did. He was good enough to do that, but he wanted to come be a part of this, and which meant a lot to me. And so I called some good friends of mine. One of them in particular was Kellen Sampson, who's a good friend of mine at the University of Houston, who played for his dad. I saw him very similar to Colby. Different times, different levels, and all that stuff. But and one of the things I said, what was some of the things that you and your dad did that separated that? And he told me, and not trying to get personal with it, and he put out his business, but he just said, hey, I always called my dad coach. I made sure when I was there, he was coach, and when I was at home, he was dad. And then I don't even think he realized he said it to me, but his dad, he said his dad coached him hard, but he always felt like his dad was still dad, even when he was coaching him. And so I've tried to not, like, of course you have to separate the two, but I also want him to know that I am still his dad. It's like when he got hurt the other day. I'm still his dad.
Yeah.
I can't fake it, and so I'm not going to try to fake it and let somebody else go take care of him. Like, he's still my kid, and I think that's tricky. I think you have to figure out how to do that, and I'm not sure I figured it out completely just yet.
Yeah.
I coach him just like I coach everybody else, and he does. He calls me coach. That's one of the things me and him talked about. But I still want him to know that when we're walking out of the gym, I can put my arm around him just like I would any of my other players. But he is my kid, and I'm not going to separate that. He can still be my kid even when he's out there on the floor.
I was just thinking about when you're talking coaches having to separate, who they are at home, who they are, how they are at the gym, or making sure that maybe there's going to be some obvious differences between the way that we coach and talk to our team and maybe the way that we relax at home. But I think that's maybe a challenge too. Like, should we have to change that much as a person? Like, if we are somebody completely different at the gym with a team, we're losing our cool, we're saying things that at home we wouldn't say. Maybe that's like a gut check moment. Like, I would hope that, yeah, maybe some of our family jokes, family voices, some things that are just for us, we do keep at home. But then when I am coaching him here, there may be some times where the passion comes out, but at the end of the day too, it's like, yeah, it's the same person. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what I was trying to articulate,
Yeah.
and I didn't do a very good job of it. But I think, and that's kind of what he was saying to me, is that I think he never felt like his dad, which is probably why his dad's so good, But his dad never changed who he was
Yeah.
at home with him to where he was at. Of course he's coaching him, and he's doing some things that he wouldn't do at home, but he was never a different person.
Yeah.
He never a different personality.
I think that's the nugget that I'm taking. Like, I have to make sure that the culture we have, the way I'm treating them, like, I should feel good about that, and I shouldn't feel like it's different than the way that I am. I think that's our coaches different outside of the gym that they are when they're inside. Now, I'm not talking about passion, volume, things like that, but gut check really for me. Like, I need to make sure that I'm the same person.
Yeah. I think that's basically what he was telling me, and I'm trying to make sure I'm doing that right now.
Well, because you played in college, and I had some experiences in college where, man, sometimes the guy that we saw, and I'm not talking about Coach Drew, just I don't want people to think that, but the guy that I saw was different. But then all of a sudden, like in front of the media or outside, that's another person, and that's hard. It's hard as a player to, one, we don't want them to be on their toes, whether they're our kid or not. We want them to feel comfortable with, yeah, coach will be coach every day, whether we played good or bad, won or lost, he's going to be consistent. But that was my experience quite often. And again, just a reminder, I think I'm more just telling myself it right now than anything else, that I need to make sure I'm being that guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.